the silence is what you notice first. In towns like Marysville, Ohio and Georgetown, Kentucky, the familiar hum of industry has faded. Two of the world's largest automakers, Toyota and Honda, have made a decision that has sent shockwaves across the globe. They are pulling out of the United States market. This is not a temporary shutdown or a minor retreat. For decades, these names were synonymous with reliability, innovation, and most importantly, American jobs. Now, they represent a deep and painful fracture in a relationship once seen as a model of international cooperation. The decision by these Japanese giants was not made overnight. It was the culmination of escalating trade tensions, culminating in a tariff policy that made their long-standing American operations unsustainable. The implications are staggering, touching everything from the price you pay for a family sedan to the economic stability of entire communities. The world is watching, and the questions are many. For nearly half a century, the partnership between American workers and Japanese automakers was a beacon of success. Their departure leaves a vacuum that will be impossible to fill quickly. It sends a chilling message to other international companies currently invested in the United States: the ground beneath your feet is no longer stable. What we are witnessing is the real-world consequence of a trade war. The casualties, however, are just as real. They are the factory workers who now face an uncertain future. This is a story that affects every single one of us, and it is a story that is far from over. To understand the magnitude of today's crisis, we must look back. The story of Japanese automakers in America did not begin with conflict, but with opportunity. In the 1970s, an oil crisis shook the nation. Japanese companies like Honda and Toyota were perfectly positioned to meet this demand. Their small, reliable, and economical cars quickly gained popularity. This was the beginning of a long and complex relationship. By the early 1980s, American automakers were struggling. To ease these tensions and secure their place in the American market, Japanese companies made a pivotal decision. Instead of just exporting cars to the United States, they would start building them here. Honda led the way, opening its first American assembly plant in Marysville, Ohio in 1982. Toyota followed suit, establishing a major presence in Georgetown, Kentucky. This strategy of direct investment proved to be incredibly successful for everyone involved. For the Japanese companies, it was a brilliant move. This long history of partnership and mutual benefit is what makes their sudden withdrawal so shocking and so devastating. The events that led to this historic withdrawal unfolded with alarming speed. The groundwork was laid during President Trump's campaign, with promises to protect American industries through aggressive trade policies. On July 15, 2025, the Trump administration announced a sweeping 25% tariff on all imported automobiles and auto parts. This second part was the critical blow. While Toyota and Honda built millions of cars in America, their supply chains were global. The companies' reactions were swift and stark. On August 5, 2025, Honda released a statement explaining the new tariff made its United States manufacturing operations financially unviable. Therefore, Honda announced it would begin a phased withdrawal from the United States. The shock was compounded just 1 week later when Toyota followed Honda's lead. Toyota's CEO presented charts showing the new tariffs would add thousands of dollars to the production cost of every vehicle assembled in the United States. The only logical business decision was to cease United States production and exit the market. Within a single month, a cornerstone of American manufacturing was slated for demolition. The policy intended to protect American jobs was now directly responsible for vaporizing hundreds of thousands of them. The news of the withdrawals landed like a bomb in communities across the country. For the workers at the massive assembly plants, the reaction was a mixture of disbelief, anger, and fear. In Marysville, Ohio, workers leaving the Honda plant after the announcement had tears in their eyes. State and local government officials were left reeling. Governors from states like Kentucky, Indiana, Alabama, and Ohio issued urgent statements expressing their profound disappointment. In Washington, the reaction was sharply divided along party lines. The White House defended the tariff policy, framing the withdrawal as a necessary pain for long-term gain. Meanwhile, opposition leaders condemned the tariffs as a catastrophic miscalculation. For millions of Americans, the most immediate impact of this decision will be felt at the car dealership. Toyota and Honda combined have consistently accounted for a massive share of the United States auto market. With their withdrawal, these popular and reliable models will vanish from new car lots. This sudden reduction in supply is a classic recipe for a price shock. American consumers looking to buy a new car will now face a market with far fewer choices and higher price tags. The used car market will not be a safe haven from these effects. The total cost of car ownership is set to become a much heavier burden for the average American household. The headline numbers are devastating enough: tens of thousands of direct manufacturing jobs lost. The true economic devastation lies in the ripple effect. For every single job at a Toyota or Honda assembly plant, experts estimate that another 7 to 10 jobs are supported throughout the supply chain. These supplier companies are the hidden backbone of the auto industry. With their primary customers now gone, many firms will have no choice but to lay off their entire workforce. The economic tremors will also be felt on Main Street. The loss of hundreds of thousands of high-paying jobs will suck billions of dollars of purchasing power out of local economies. Beyond the immediate economic pain, there is a long-term loss of industrial capacity and knowledge. To cut through the political noise, we turn to economists and trade analysts to understand the bigger picture. The consensus among most mainstream experts is clear and alarming. Dr. Evelyn Reed, a trade economist, explained the core flaw in the tariff strategy. The policy was based on a 20th century view of manufacturing. Today's auto industry uses a deeply integrated global supply chain. A tariff on parts is a tax on your own domestic production. Experts also emphasize that the idea of American companies like Ford and GM simply filling the gap is unrealistic. Mark Fulthorpe, an automotive analyst, pointed out the immense logistical challenges. You can't just flip a switch and increase production by millions of vehicles. Toyota and Honda built their market share over decades based on reputation and quality. The result will be a prolonged period of vehicle shortages and high prices. Another key point raised by analysts is the damage to America's reputation as a safe place for foreign investment. Dr. Kenji Tanaka warned of the long-term consequences. This sends a signal to every international company that the United States is an unreliable partner. Ultimately, the experts paint a picture of a policy that has backfired in almost every conceivable way. It was intended to create American jobs but is destroying them by the hundreds of thousands. As Dr. Reed summarized, this is a case study in unintended consequences. The withdrawal of Toyota and Honda has ignited a political firestorm. The Trump administration and its supporters have doubled down, framing the crisis as a necessary battle to reclaim American sovereignty. They argue that the United States has been taken advantage of by unfair trade practices. This message resonates with a segment of the population that feels left behind by globalization. On the other side, the opposition is galvanized. They argue that the president has betrayed the very workers he promised to protect. This crisis has provided a clear example of policy consequences, which they are using to rally voters. The debate is no longer about the nuances of trade policy, but has become a culture war. It pits a vision of a nationalist, protectionist America against a vision of an America integrated into the global economy. The country is not just facing an economic crisis, it is facing a crisis of identity. As the dust begins to settle, we are left looking at a changed landscape. The road ahead for the American economy is uncertain and fraught with challenges. The immediate priority is the hundreds of thousands of workers and their families who now face a desperate situation. Government assistance programs and job retraining initiatives will be critical. The fundamental question is, what will replace these jobs? This event serves as a stark reminder of our interconnectedness. The decision to abruptly sever ties with major partners has proven to be an act of profound self-harm. The future of American prosperity may depend on our ability to learn from this mistake. The story of Toyota and Honda's withdrawal is more than just a headline, it is a turning point. Thank you for watching.